Today is Thursday, August 11th. As I said in the last video, we're going to talk today about a Supreme Court case from a little over a year ago, Salinas v. Texas. Before we do that, though, I wanted to read for you the Fifth Amendment of the Constitution, since what's in there is what we're going to be talking about, so we should know what we're talking about. No person shall be held to answer for a capital or otherwise infamous crime unless on presentment or indictment of a grand jury, except in cases arising in the land or naval forces or in the militia, when in actual service in time of war or public danger, nor shall any person be subject to the same offense to be twice put in jeopardy of life or limb, nor shall be compelled in any criminal case to be a witness against himself, that's the part we're going to be talking about, nor be deprived of life, liberty, or property without due process of law, nor shall private property be taken for public use without just compensation. So there it is, the Fifth Amendment of the Constitution. So, a little background. Salinas v. Texas is a case from the early 90s having to do with the murder of two brothers. This guy, Salinas, was brought in for questioning by the police. He came in voluntarily, was not arrested, was not read his Miranda rights, voluntarily submitted to answering questions. He also volunteered his shotgun for ballistics testing. And through the course of the interview with him, he was asked whether he thought the ballistics to his gun would match the shell casings found at the scene of the crime. That question he didn't answer. He didn't refuse to answer. He didn't say, I'm not going to answer, I don't want to answer it. He just remained silent. All the other questions he was asked, he answered. This one he didn't. And at trial, the prosecution basically used his silence against him. In their summation, basically said, look, this guy was asked this question, he didn't answer. Obviously, his silence means he was guilty. He basically then later said, I was deprived of my Fifth Amendment rights to remain silent. And the Supreme Court basically said, there are actually sort of two opinions that are relevant here. The first one was written by Alito, who basically said, look, he wasn't under arrest, he was there voluntarily, and he could have left at any time. And because he could have left at any time and said, I'm done with this, I don't want to go on, I don't want to answer any more questions, he basically didn't have that right to remain silent because he didn't either expressly say it or because he wasn't under arrest. The second opinion written by the court was by Thomas and Scalia, who basically said the guy didn't even have the right to invoke his Fifth Amendment right because he wasn't under arrest. So that opinion echoes an opinion from 2010, which basically says the same thing. If you're not arrested, if you're not read your Miranda rights, you know, you hear on TV, you have the right to remain silent, you have the right to attorney, blah, 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 blah. If you're not arrested and you're not read your Miranda, you basically don't have a right to remain silent. And so between that ruling in 2010, which they echoed last year, along with Alito's opinion basically saying the dude could have walked out whenever he wanted, they basically said he wasn't deprived of his Fifth Amendment right. The reason that this is scary, to me, well, there's a couple of reasons. So one, to me, if you have a right, you have a right. And while I'm sure, you know, not being a lawyer, there are instances where that's not the case, but to me, if you have the right to remain silent, you always have the right to remain silent. And you shouldn't have to say to police or court authorities or anybody, oh, wait, hold on, I'm invoking my Fifth Amendment right to remain silent. This court case basically says, in order to have protection under that Fifth Amendment right, you have to say it. You have to explicitly say the words, I'm invoking my right to remain silent. I'm invoking my Fifth Amendment right. The other part that's frightening about it is the fact that you only seem to have the right to invoke your Fifth Amendment right if you've been arrested. So even if you brought in for questioning, even if you voluntarily go in, you don't like the questioning and then say, no, wait, I'm sorry, I invoke my right to remain silent. If you haven't been read your Miranda rights, if you haven't been arrested, then you don't have the right to say that. You can walk out and say, I'm not answering any more of your questions, but you can't just say, I'm not going to answer that question until you've been arrested. And the implication also seems to be that anything you say or don't say can then be used against you because you don't have a right to remain silent. So the article that I read talked about cases where people were intimidated or confessed under duress, and then later were found innocent by DNA evidence. It is an eroding to me of individual rights against the state, against what to me is becoming more and more a police state, but that's for a separate matter for another day. It's really scary. So if you're ever questioned by the police, I mean, unless you're perfectly comfortable and you didn't do anything wrong and you're 100% in the clear, I wouldn't say anything to them. I wouldn't go in for questioning. I wouldn't cooperate. I'd just say no thank you. If you think I did something wrong, then either arrest me or serve me a warrant to appear in court. In which case, then I'll have a lawyer sitting next to me who can, defend me and advise me. Otherwise, I wouldn't do it. More and more, these are scary times we live in. So, just be aware. That's that. Salinas v. Texas from June 2013. I'll actually have a link to the whole decision in the comments and on the Regarding Frost blog if people really want to sit. It's actually not that long. It's about 25 pages-ish. But there wasn't a whole lot that I could parse out of it for this. Just to finish up, I wanted to say thank you. I got one more subscriber, although I don't know who it is. And also, I've been sending out links to the YouTube channel on my Facebook page, and I've gotten likes to those links, which I appreciate. But what I'd appreciate even more is after you like the link on Facebook, you actually go to the YouTube channel and subscribe, because that's actually what I'm asking you to do. So while I appreciate the likes, it doesn't really help increase my subscriber numbers. So as we're trying to expand, it would be helpful if you subscribed. And if you would share the subscription so that I can actually see who you are, then I'll thank you, over the video and acknowledge you. Otherwise, I don't know who you are. Next time, we're going to be talking about homeless issues in Honolulu, a number of bills that were heard by the Honolulu City Council today. I don't yet know the outcome of some of those bills, so I didn't want to mention too much. But that's what I plan to talk about in the next video. So please watch. Anyone who's a progressive who doesn't like the way the City Council is handling things will probably agree with everything that I have to say, but if you don't agree with me, maybe it'll be interesting and we can fight about it. So for now, thanks for watching. Keep watching. Tell your friends. Subscribe, please. And we'll see you next time. Thanks a lot.